I don't know who you are, but I know that you're Jews who are looking for Kadosh Baruch Hu and looking for His chaskus, just like me. And when we do it with each other, when we try together, it's a big thing. So you've been singing now almost 2 months, V'nahafer, 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 for 2 months. I think sometimes when I hear that song again, I'm going to go out of my Keilson. But what's V'nahafer? What does that mean, V'nahafer? So I was talking to the Chavi here last week about this a little bit. When we were kids, there used to be these coloring books that we had, and you would see like the image of a boy, a little boy, and we used to take out the Crayola box. We had that back then too, and we used to color in I used to color in the little boy's face, and it was a special like magic coloring book that when you turned it upside down, when you turned the coloring book upside down, it was a picture like of a little girl, or a picture of a giraffe or something. I don't know. It was like a totally different picture, and I thought that was mamish magic. Now that I'm older, I know that it's not magic. I know that it's the work of Mordechai. It's the work of the tzaddik. It's the work that each one of us has to try to do in life. You see, that other picture was there all the time. I was just so completely focused and obsessed with the picture that was obvious to me that I couldn't see that other picture until I did a v'nahafa, until I turned it around. So Esther Malka was this sweet, like real, refined Bas Yisrael, and the tzaddik told her, in Acharesh Tacharishi, that the tzaddik said, you know, you need to save the entire Jewish people. You're the only person that could do this. And she all of a sudden received these different eyes from the tzaddik, to see koiches that she didn't know that she had. That this woman all of a sudden was able to do something that was still talking about it so many years later, and was still living from that. What Esther Malka did. He didn't change anything. He just helped her see it differently, a different perspective. You know, Shaul HaMelech, where does Haman come from? Because Shaul HaMelech didn't finish off Agag. So from that came out, as you know, Haman, because he lived Agag another night and whatever. So there's a Haman that came from that. And when Shmuel Nevi came to him, and Shaul HaMelech starts to explain, like, why, I couldn't, I didn't, and I was listening to the people, I was afraid. So Shmuel said to him, Im katon ata beinecha, you might be small in your own eyes. In your own eyes. But in my eyes, Reish Shivtei Yisrael Ata, and I'm asking you to try to turn the page upside down. Do v'nahafachu. Look through the eyes of Einei Hashem al Tzaddik. Look at the eyes of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, as Nosen by Einav. Use the eyes of the Tzaddik. Borrow those eyes and try to see that there's another picture that you haven't been looking at because you've been so completely obsessed with that picture that could be that parents painted, or some teacher painted, or some friend painted, but it's not your painting. And if you do the v'nahafachu, it's mamish, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what you'll find if you do the v'nahafachu. Now I'll tell you just a quick v'nahafachu story, but there's a Murdic story about a tzaddik, Reb Godel Eisner. He was a big ger chassid, a big tzaddik, that he survived the war. He was in so many different concentration camps. And at the end of his life, he said over how he survived, and he told how he was in some camp, and the war was ending. It was winding down, and all of a sudden the Germans came into their bunk and started screaming, yelling at the Jews to get up. Get up. They were going to transfer them to some other place because the Americans were coming, and they had to get out. So the Germans didn't want to miss the opportunity of killing more Jews, so they were going to take them somewhere else. And there was this march that they had to do. It actually turned out to be 14 kilometers. There were like 1,500 guys. Only 30, 40 of them survived. And Rabbi Gudel was one of them. And Rabbi Gudel said the following. He said the Germans wanted to have fun with us. So they didn't just tell us to walk, even though we were skeletons. We couldn't barely move. They commanded us to start running. And anybody that slowed down would be shot immediately. And he said that we started, but every second, boom, 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 people are getting shot, people are getting trampled. And he said, I realized that I'm done. I can't go on. I was going to go back to my parents, my grandparents. I was done. And I was beginning to slow down. And all of a sudden, like a couple rows back, somebody screamed out, "Life, good life, run, good, run, run!" And he said, I don't know what happened, but that person just somehow turned things the other way for me. And I was one of those chevra that made it to the end, and I survived the war. And I learned from there how another person can help you turn things around, could bring you to that v'nahafachu, even if you can't yourself. I learned that a friend can do that for someone else. When you think that you're finished and someone else sees that you're not, and that you can and can turn it around. Haman said they were all finished. Every single Jew was going to get killed. V'nahafachu. We began to look at things differently. We began to see through the eyes of Mordechai, Tehillim, Torah, the children, Tanis, Avodah. And we were able to see what was always there. Nothing changed. There were no Nisim. Nothing changed in Shushan. It's just everything turned around to the way that it was supposed to be, but we didn't see. We should be Zaychem as Hashem for a big v'nahafachu, each and every one of us, to see the real picture of who we are, not who we are, but who we can become. And with that, all of us should be able to be freilich together, not over machines, but to be freilich together. Yerushalayim habnu l'glash v'amitis, amen v'amen.
On Purim we drink wine because many of the miracles of Purim happened in the context of the wine parties that Achashverosh liked to throw. At one of these parties we know that he killed his wife Vashti and replaced her with Esther. And the pasuk there says, "Bayayim hashavi k'toiv lev hamelech bayayin." On the seventh day, when the king's heart was happy with wine. The Gemara explains that the seventh day was Shabbos, and the Vilna Gaon explains further that the Melech referred to here was Hashem, Melech Malchei HaMelachim. So therefore, the pasuk reads, "Bayayim hashavi," on Shabbos, the seventh day, k'toiv lev hamelech bayayin, when Hashem's heart was happy with wine. Now, how was Hashem's heart happy with wine? The Gemara explains that Hashem's heart was happy with the wine that the Yidden were drinking on Shabbos, and it says that Hashem was contrasting the behavior of the Yidden with the behavior of the Goyim. The Yidden, when they eat and drink, they learn Torah and they praise Hashem. And the Goyim, when they drink, they just become vulgar. And that's what led, of course, to Achashverosh inviting Vashti, and she refused to come, and she got executed. Let us, on this Purim, be sure that we don't stop get wasted like a guy. Let us behave like a Yid. Hashem should be Toiv Lev HaMelech B'yayin. Hashem should be happy. He should be proud of our drinking, because it should enhance our Divrei Torah on Purim. It should allow us to praise Hashem and thank Him for all the good that He showers us with. Afreilichem Purim.
Everyone is singing. Misha nichnas adar marbim b'simcha. You feel the sense of Purim in the air. But what do the words mean? Or actually, where do they come from? They come from a statement in the Gemara Masechtas Tainis Daf Chavtes. And the statement is not so well known in its full form. Kishem shemisha nichnas av mematin b'simcha, kach misha nichnas adar marbim b'simcha. But people don't sing the first part. At least I never heard that. And the question is, what is the connection between the two? Just because you happen to decrease in happiness in Av and you increase in happiness of Adar, that's the whole kesher beinehem? I once heard an amazing answer from Rav Mendel Weinberger, Zatzal, the Rosh Hashiva of Ar Sameach in Yerushalayim, and he said as follows. Imagine for a moment the scene of a father taking leave of his children, not knowing how long it will be. And his children are standing by the doorway, bawling, sobbing, Tati! That's the scene of Av. And all of a sudden, the child is sitting by the dining room table, crying away, and the father comes around and standing by the window. And he says, my child, I can't be home right now, but I'm watching you. I'm with you. I'm still here. Mashkiach min hachalonos. I'm looking in from the windows. Meitzitz min hacharakim. Looking in, peering in at you always. That is Adar. And he explains that the reason why we are sad in Av is because Av represents this very sad concept called Hester Panim. Because all of Galus and all of Tzaris only come because Kaviyach HaKadosh Baruch Hu hides his face from us. The joy of Adar is precisely the reason why we were sad in Av. We were sad in Av because of Hester Panim. We are rejoicing in Adar because Adar and Purim showed us that even in Hester Panim, God is with us in full, even though we can't see Him. You know, on Pesach, we say Hallel outright. We express Hallel. On Purim, we don't say Hallel. On Purim, the Gemara says the Megillah reading is the Hallel. What does it mean the Megillah reading is the Hallel? Explains the Sifsei Chaim, Reb Chaim Friedlander Zatzal. The Megillah reading is the story that reveals to us Megalet the Hester, that in every nuance of that story and in every personal Megillah, Hashem is right there. That inspires the heart to express its appreciation in Hallel to Hashem. But that Hallel is from inside. Just like the nace of Pesach, was begoloi, that's why the Hallel's begoloi. The nace of Purim was behester. So the Hallel is internal, is from within. The simcha that we're going to experience in this month is the realization that Hashem really never left us.
V'gam Charvayna Zachor Latoiv. On Purim we thank Charvayna because he's the one that told Achashverosh that Haman wants to hang Mordechai. Achashverosh said, Tolu alav, hang Haman. Api Medrash, this wasn't really Charvayna. He was not a good guy. It was Eliyahu Hanavi dressed up as Charvayna. So the question is, why do we say Gam Charvayna Zachor Latoiv if it's only Eliyahu Hanavi dressed up as him? Good kasha. There's a story they tell about Reb Chaim Volozhiner, who was makabel one year not to make a bracha unless there's someone to answer Amen. Once in the middle of the night he was thirsty, and there was no one to answer Amen. And what do you know? There was a bacher tapping at the door. He said he was learning in the middle of the night, had a kasha, and was wondering if the Rosh Hashiva's awake. He said, great, I'll make a bracha, say Amen. He asked him his kasha, he told him a teretz, everybody was happy. The next day in yeshiva, Reb Chaim Volozhiner went over to the Talmud and thanked him for coming. The Talmud said, what? He said, your kasha. He said, what kasha? I was sleeping. Reb Chaim Volozhiner realized that it was Eliyahu Hanavi coming dressed up as this bacher. But from then on, Reb Chaim Volozhiner stood up every time this boy walked in. They asked why. He said, well, if Eliyahu Hanavi decided to disguise himself as him, he must be a very special person. With this story, we understand Charvayna as well. Eliyahu Navi came disguised as Charvayna. But if he chose to come dressed up as Charvayna, V'gam Charvayna Zachor L'Tayv, we thank Charvayna for being that special person that Eliyahu got dressed up as. And there's a remez, Gam Charvayna Zachor L'Tayv. We always say Eliyahu Navi Zachor L'Tayv. Beautiful remez. So this is a lesson about Purim and about Hakaras HaTayv, thanking Charvayna for being available, so to speak, to be the person that Eliyahu Navi dresses up as and comes in front of Achashverosh.
Shalom Avrocha to this incredible audience of Mevakshe Hashem, of Ovdei Hashem. In light of the eminently approaching Purim, perhaps we'll just share a small thought. It's a fascinating phenomenon if you think about it. There's nobody in all of Tanakh who was more insistent, more particular about Yidden bowing down to him than Haman. What's really this idea of bowing down? Everybody has to be mishtachave? What's pshat? Question number 2. First thing that comes to Haman's mind when the Melech asks him, Haman, what should I do? To the one that the Melech is chafetz b'yikara, what should I do? And the very first thought, the muskal rishon that enters into Haman's mind, is I want the person to walk me all around town while I sit ever so comfortably on the king's horse. Why is that the first thing that comes to mind? And then we fast forward onward in Megillas Esther. And when it comes to the destruction of a Mordechai who's been bothering Haman endlessly, what's the thought that comes to mind? Death by hanging. Zeresh Ishto Haman, you know what, let's go ahead and hang him. Why hanging? Why not kill him by the sword? Why not so many other means of murder? Why is it bedavka dinyan of hanging? So perhaps the idea can be explained as follows. Haman, of course, we know is the personification, the embodiment of all evil in that day and age. He is a descendant of Esav, a Rosh of Amalek. Mordechai, a descendant of Yaakov Avinu, the Arizal Ivanans, he was in fact a Gilgal of Yaakov Avinu. Haman and Mordechai is Yaakov and Esav all over again. So let's go back, let's rewind to the very origin of their machlokas, of their relentless arguing, their disputes. What was the first machlokes? There they are, 2 little babies in the womb of their mother. And what do we read? They're running places. Esav is running to Avodah Zarah, and Yaakov Avinu is running to the Beis Knesset, the Beis Medrash. Where are you running? What's running all about? What are you doing with your feet, with your Amida Baraglayan? And where are your feet taking you? What is the Shifa in your life? Where is your Ikaritza, your Ratzon, Loshen Ritza? Where are you running to? Where's your Ratzon? Comes time to exit, and what does Yaakov do? He grabs onto what? What part of Esav? Not his hand, not his ear. He grabs onto the leg. I got your leg. Comes Esav Arasha. He sends his Malach, Sarashal Esav, moving onward into Parshas Vayishlach. And the Malach of Esav wants to destroy Yaakov. What does he aim for? Vayiga b'kaf Yerecho. He aims bedavka for the raglayim of Yaakov Avinu. That's where he wants to get him. He wants to get him where? B'kaf Yerecho. Writes Rav Yosef Chaim Zonefeld. Kaf Yerecho. Gematria Purim. Vayiga b'kaf Yerecho. Where does he get him? 336. He gets him Purim time. What's it all about? He gets him in the raglayim. He wants to uproot his koach amida raglayim. Why? What's this battle of the raglayim all about? We know the Navi Zechariah tells us, Paragimel Pasuk Zayin, the difference between a human being, a tzaddik versus a malach is an omeid. He's an itzav, he's idle, he's motionless, no b'chirachavshis. He ain't going places, he's not moving, he's not steiging, he's not growing. But in contrast to the malach, a tzaddik is, is a holech, he's always vayelech Moshe. Avram Avinu, lech lecha, you gotta be on the move, you gotta be on the go. The Grow writes in Mishlei, if you're not growing in Yiddishkeit, then Baal Korchoch, willy-nilly, you're going down. There's no such thing in Judaism as status quo. That's it. You're either going up or you're going down. In which direction are you holech? Which direction are you rotz? That's the rotz. And where are you going? Esav's going here, Yaakov's going here. Comes the battle. The Malach and Vayishlach aims for what? He aims medavka for his raglayim. I want to get your raglayim. Comes Haman now. And what do you think Haman wants? He's a Malach all over again. Haman says, give me your raglayim. I want you to uproot your koach amida raglayim. I want you to bow down. And when you bow down, you can't stand up on your feet. And in contrast, you're going to give me your feet and you're going to bow down to my feet. And we know the Targum Sheni, the Medrash, the famous story. Haman and Mordechai. They're going on a journey and Haman has to sell himself as an Eved to Mordechai. Where does the Mordechai write? The star on the bottom of his foot. Haman, I got you in the bottom of my foot. Haman says, I want Mordechai to walk me all around town, as my feet sit ever so comfortably on the majestic horse of Achashverosh. Mordechai is going to use his feet to walk me all around town. How do I want to kill a Mordechai? Death by hanging. What's hanging? Uproot his koach amida b'raglayim. You put a person on a stage, on a platform, on a chair, and you put the noose around the neck, and then you take away their ability to stand on their 2 feet, and that is death by hanging. But what's the story of Purim? It's all v'nahapachu. Haman uses his feet to walk Mordechai all around town. At the end of the story, Haman has to bow down in front of Esther to plead for his life at the party with Achashverosh. And it's Haman who gets hung on his very own tree. And we're going to take away Haman's Amida Raglayim. And doesn't that make a lot of sense? After all, he tried to get us with what? Hua Pur, Hua Goral, Gimel Reish Lamed. What's the story of Purim all about? V'nahapachu, so let's be Mahapich the Goral. What happens when you are Mahapich the Goral, Gimel Reish Lamed? Osias Afuchus, what emerges? The Regel, we got the Koach HaRaglayim back. That's what Purim's all about. Mamela, what do we do on Purim? Alright, so Funur Pachad Yitzchak and Purim, Maimer Choches, we dance like crazy, Rakida. Perhaps we could add on, yes, we destroyed Amalek, we destroyed Haman. We have our Koach Amida, so go out this Purim and dance with the Geshmak, with the Lebedegekai, because we have the Koach Amida Barglaim. We don't bow down to anyone except for a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And we have the Koach Amida Barglaim. The question in life is, what are you going to do with that Amida Barglaim? Arotz and Rotz, where are you running? Where are you running this Purim? Are we running to Ruchnius? Are we running to grow and to Steig? We're running Chalila V'chas in the other direction. The choice is yours this Purim. We got the Amida Barglayim back. We're going to dance. We're going to show ourselves in the Eibishter. What are we dancing for? What are we using our Barglayim for? Are we running for Torah, running for mitzvahs? Are we running to Steig? And we just want to chill, relax in life, take it easy. We have the Barglayim. You got to do something with it. You got to maximize it. Hatzloch Harabah. Have a Freilich and Purim.
A holy thought just occurred to me, Mamish, this week about the Inyan of Purim. 2 Shabbosim ago, I was zeicher to be in the Heilige Tzfas for Shabbos, Mamish Gaval. And after Tzfas, we went to a certain cave on the side of the road in Eretz Yisrael where the holy Talmidei Abel Shem Tov are buried. And we were sitting there with the holy Chevra and Rav Yossi Zakatinsky, and they said this Maisa. And this story, for some reason, I'm feeling is connecting to Purim. We were sitting by the caver of the holy Rav Nachman of Haradanker, one of the first Talmidei Abel Shem Tov, Rav Nachman's grandfather. Rav Yossi said that this Rav Nachman, when he first came to the Baal Shem Tov, he had a lot of questions. He had a lot of things bothering him about Yiddishkeit and about Judaism in general. And he went to the holy Baal Shem Tov, and he told the Chassidim afterwards, after he was a regular chassid, he was stolen by the Baal Shem. He said, the Baal Shem Tov didn't answer my questions. He didn't take away the questions from me. He took me away from the questions. He removed me from the questions. And it occurred to me, the Inyan of Purim, when you get drunk, you remove your das, you take yourself away from all the cheshbonis in the world, everything that you could possibly think of, all your kashas. I don't have any kashas. You remove yourself from the question. Because the emunah of a Jew, if your whole emunah is based on somebody answered your question or somebody proved something to you, so then the moment that somebody disproves it, there goes your emunah. The emunah of a Jew is totally on something that's going on inside, as they claim to call it Jewish guilt. There's something going on inside every single Jew that's attacking him constantly. It's the Nishmas Yisrael, it's the Chelik Elikavimal. He knows there's something going on. He knows that there's an Eibishter. And he's wondering, what's the pshat? Baal Shem Tov taught, it's not about taking away the questions, it's about moving away from the questions, moving towards yourself. Lech lecha, go to yourself. The Inyan of Purim is the highest level of Amunah. Drinking, costumes, you don't even know what's going on. I have no cheshbon, I have no kashas, I have no nothing, everything's devolving. I don't know the difference between Ara Haman, I don't know the difference between Baruch Mordechai. Everything is the Eibishter. You take yourself away from the kashas. And you tap into that level of Amunah that a Jew has. Like the Baal Tanya says, and the Eish Kodesh says in the beginning of Chavis Talmidim, that the Inyan of a Jewish Amunah is knowing that there's something of experiencing it, feeling it. A guy goes to yeshiva, he flips out. He goes to Eretz Yisrael. What's the Inyan of flipping out? What happened? And a guy goes to college, he flips out over philosophy. What's happening? Guy flips out in yeshiva. The Inyan is that something, there's a little switch inside that was waiting to be turned, and somebody came and flicked it. Whether it was the Torah, whether it was the Tefillah, whether it was Eretz Yisrael, somebody flicked that switch, and now he knows it's clear. You can't deny it. You can't tell him any other way. Ask him the most kashas in the world. He's removed from the kashas. Freilich and Purim.
Has it ever happened that you felt a deep desire to express yourself to a friend, a spouse, a child, and you would end up talking yourself out of it. You didn't want to bring yourself to this level of vulnerability. You don't want to make for an awkward situation, so you ended up not expressing yourself. Has it ever happened that you've been deeply inspired by a shir, by an inspirational figure who you've met, a gadol, a Talmud Chacham, and as you're feeling these deep feelings of inspiration, just as you want to grow like that person who you met, or like the shir spoke about, you meet a gadol and you say, I now want to be a gadol. I'm incredibly inspired by this person. And you quickly shut it down before you do anything. You shut down that inspiration. And you tell yourself, okay, it's very cute. I met a gadol. I want to be that gadol. It's very cute, but I know what inspiration is. I'm not supposed to take this and run with it. Now, you might think that that's the proper thing to do. This is what we're taught. We're not supposed to act based on our inspiration. And the truth is that all of our actions in life are supposed to be fueled by our intellect, not by our emotions, by our inspiration. We're supposed to be fully deciding based on our intellect. We're supposed to be deeply emotional people, but the decision has to be based on our intellect. We cannot trust our emotions unless we're on a very high level. When we feel inspiration, the intellect is supposed to come in and it's supposed to save the day and balance out that inspiration. That much we know. However, there's an aspect of our intellect which can be very harmful to us. Our intellect can come out in a few different ways. Our intellect can be very helpful. However, there's a very fine line between balancing out our emotions and being cynical towards them. And what happens is often that when we feel this flame of inspiration inside of us, instead of using our intellect to balance it out, we end up extinguishing it completely with cynicism, with doubt, telling ourselves that I'm not going to let this flame inside me overtake me. I know what this is. I'm not the first year yeshiva bachur that I once was. I'm not as naive as I once was. I'm not going to let it take that effect on me. This aspect of the intellect, I believe, is what Purim is about. We have this fascinating obligation to drink, which is an interesting thing. And yes, the Chavis Chaim tells us that it's zeichel nes, because the nes happened through wine. But that itself, why did Hashem make the nes happen through wine? So that the zeicher will be through wine. It's a very interesting thing. It takes away the intellect, the most important thing we have. But I believe that it's this aspect of the intellect that we want to weaken on Purim. This aspect of the intellect is Amalek. Amalek is the gematria suffix, which is doubt. That's the doubt that we when we doubt ourselves, when we doubt this inspiration. Amalek's midah, Chazal tell us, is leitzanis. That's cynicism. Leitz is the opposite of tzeil. Tzeil is shade, which weakens the effect of the sun. A leitz weakens the effect of a thought. And on Purim, that's the aspect that we're supposed to weaken. All of a sudden on Purim, our spiritual dreams reign free. We're all of a sudden expressing ourselves to our friends like we never would. We're all of a sudden taking big things upon ourselves like we would never do the rest of the year. And then after Purim, we say, did I really express myself like that to my friend? I can't believe I said that to him. Did I really take that upon myself? But that's what Purim is about. Even though we're supposed to take our inspiration and bring it to our reality, but there's a difference between doing that and the cynical reality check that sometimes we give ourselves. To take this idea out of Purim would be an incredible thing, to take the cynicism and the doubt out of our lives and let the inspiration take over, and then to balance it out. And that way, we could use our emotions and our inspiration and our intellect together. They could be a team to accomplish great things.